Welcome all of you to the Values Workshop number 73 on Lightness. So before we begin, let's spend a few moments on reflecting what lightness is. Asking oneself, am I really light while performing my duties or actions? Or do I experience a lot of burden inside? It's a value which is indeed very soft. And not many people are aware of this value. Before we begin the workshop today, let me try to situate myself in the pure consciousness of the soul that I am, the soul energy. And see how light I feel the moment I create this thought. So with this prelude, let's try to explore. And today's workshop is more experiential in nature rather than more of the talk thing. So we would like you all to experience the value of lightness through the various exercises which we do. So welcome all of you, and a big thank you to the entire team of facilitators and translators who tirelessly, including the recorders, who are there in the background to make all these workshops happen. And I'm really amazed thinking, I'm light, I'm not burdened, but thinking that we have really covered almost 72 workshops so far. It has been a journey of almost 3 years. We complete in October. And we'll be having Sister Rita, who will be joining us. Actually, she's there in the background, but her talk will begin as always after the first hour of the workshop is over. And as always, our facilitators, Sister Anu and Sister Shruti, welcome both of you as well. Thank you for joining. And let's go further. So as it is, let's not blow our trumpet again and again by showing you all these, but it's a part of our slides. So the apologies, they keep coming in between. Right, so today the YouTube video which I'm sharing, I want you all, it's a very brief video which I'll be playing a few 2-3 times over a period of 2-3 minutes. And I want you all to experience from this video something. And that experience will be an insight for you, for the ones who are not used to the value of lightness. And then you can share, what do you experience? There's nice background music, some beautiful melodious voice in the background as well, and see what you can experience. So I'll just take you. I hope the screen is seen.
No, you have to maybe stop.
Okay, I think I'll just make a new share. Yeah, that's better. Is it visible now? Hope so.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Right. So welcome all of you back, and you can share your experiences. Can you all hear something in the background? No.
The wind is playing something on your computer.
I can't see where it is. So sorry. Okay. That's the problem with YouTube's. Okay. Yeah, right. Finally, it has gone. Hope so. Good. Yeah. So someone is mentioning a very, it's very sentimental. You all have mentioned. Thank you. Tears of joy. Wow. Very, very emotional it makes when someone says tears, right? Anyone wants to share some experiences? Thank you, Sister Gurpreet, for starting the chat box sharing. We have,
Shanti, can I share?
yeah, go ahead, Sister Sangeeta.
Yes, I experienced uh, as if I'm energy, I'm not matter, and very much relating to the nature and very light and pure. And
Wonderful.
as if I don't want to come out of this experience of being only energy, no, not matter.
Great. Thank you. So I think the workshop, the job is already done. Sister Sangeeta has mentioned that. Right at the first icebreaker video, have started feeling, all of us have started feeling that. And I think we want to deepen this experience further. Right. A feeling of being unlimited, yes. And also a feeling of, Sister Michelle is saying, brings me beyond. Right. And Sister Swati is just greeting us bright morning with Baba's love. Brother Harbhajan wants to say something about the experience. Okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, feeling light.
Okay, so you're already feeling it. Great. So all of us are already light. Good. And I'll read the last sharing. It's Sarbjeet is saying, I feel like bliss. Baba. Now, first of all, if there are people who are new to these terms, we use the word Baba very fondly for the Supreme, the Divine God. So that love and happiness comes to the soul. Right. So thank you. I think job is done. Sister Rehna, you want to say something? Otherwise, we'll go ahead with the.
No, actually, I didn't see the video because there was some network issue.
Fine, no worries. So feeling of pure, Sister Gulden is saying, right? So purity also. So purity, lightness, all of you are feeling that. Right. So our time is up. Thanks so much. And we'll move on to the first exercise and explore more in depth, lightness. Over to you, Sister Anu. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Manoj. It was a good start. Now, let's go into reflecting in ourselves. What is lightness for me? So, only when we give a few seconds or moments or minutes to reflect on a thing, we realize deeply how that exists in our life. So, what is lightness for me? As we all have started to think, let's reflect on this question. That reflect on an instance in your life where you felt your stage to be very light, detached, and bodiless. There may be very different kinds of situations that come in our life where you could gather yourself and felt the stage of lightness, being detached and bodiless. It could be some like when we do meditation or when we are in the nature, in that beautiful nature that we love, or in the worship places. I don't know where it is where you have felt lightness, detached, and being bodiless. Let's give 1 minute for you to reflect. So I hope if you catch a situation, a moment where you felt light, very light, then let's think about the question. So, how did it feel? What is the meaning of lightness for you? And what are the advantages you felt? So this will be your sharing with the whole team that what is the meaning of lightness for you? How do you feel the lightness when you are light? And what are the advantages you felt? So I'll give you half a minute for this, then we'll ask you for your share. Okay, so we would request you to share. Anybody who is inspired, and what is that came to your notice? What is that you felt you would like to share? Anybody who's like to unmute and share? Please go ahead.
Living in the present, just no worries, no fear, and just three Bindu, myself, Baba, and Rama.
So at present, Bindu, I think you said, point of light, myself, and God.
Sorry, Sister Anu, should we be recording or you paused it on purpose? Like, I'm just confirming.
Okay, let's record. Yeah, recordings are happening. All the English, Hindi, doesn't matter. But yeah, could you remind it? Let's do it.
Okay, fine. Thanks. Carry on.
So that was beautiful, Harbhajan, brother, very beautiful. You and God, and that merged in a point form and at present. Thank you. Swati, you would like to share?
Om Shanti. Very recently, I went for a vacation with family, and with all the nature's love in front of Niagara Falls, I was feeling that I'm so light actually in front of the vast nature. And as one sister mentioned, that tears of joy actually coming out, and I feel that I'm so small, and it is giving me immense pleasure. So that lightness I can feel in front of nature.
Beautiful, beautiful for sharing your experience, right? And the vast, beautiful nature, and you see yourself so little, and that's lightness when you see yourself as a part of a very vast, beautiful nature. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Swati. I can relate to it. I had felt that. I always feel that, seeing the vast nature in front. So thank you for sharing. That's like Michael,
Om
right?
Shanti Didi ji.
Yes. Okay, brother, go ahead. Vijay Pal bhai, go ahead.
Both have
Okay.
unmuted, both pals.
So one after the other. First,
No,
Vijay,
no, I'm not.
brother.
I'm unmuted. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Om Shanti, and my dear brothers and sisters, please accept my greetings of love, peace, and happiness. I had very often experienced the lightness in the stage of meditation, but I just want to share that before joining the Brahma Kumaris, I experienced this lightness in Vipassana. We did the 9 days Vipassana, and on the 9th day, I felt the whole body is like a balloon, very light. From top to bottom, the stream of water is flowing like a fountain, And I was told by the people who were organizing this course, who were Goenkaji's assistant, he was also a very high spiritual soul. He told me this stage is called Shin Bhangur. And he mentioned to me that do not see any TV, do not indulge in anything, and try to remain in this stage as long as you can. Now, till today, I remember.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vijay brother, for sharing. So silence and meditation that makes us feel lightness. I'll read few from the chat. Time is running very fast, and I'll request anybody new who would like to unmute and share just that very briefly. What is lightness for you? Where did you feel? You connect and
There
felt?
is some problem, brother and sisters. I got disconnected.
Okay, Vijay brother,
So
we heard you.
that stage is
Yeah,
so
but
blissful that
it's okay.
It's
Let
okay.
me,
Yeah, Brijpal bhai, yes.
sister,
Briefly,
I
we'll
will
hear
be,
from you.
I will be very short. One disciple asked Guru Nanak Dev that I have got an earthen pot having 5 holes in it. What should I do that it is remains filled with water? Guru Nanak Dev smiled and said, you just dip into the water, let it remain in the water. It will be full of water. Similarly, the 5 indriyas we had, if it gets submerged with the ocean of knowledge, connected with the Baba, we remains in a state of renunciation. We are very light, we are very enlightenment in that position, and that is the position we should try to get it. So I will stop it with one share. Tera jalna kaam hai parwane, chahe shama jale ya na jale, tu pankh jalale diwane, chahe shama jale ya na jale. That is the state of lightness. Om
Beautiful.
Shanti.
So renunciation and being submerged, merged, immersed in the love of God or that light. I'll remain light and enlightened. Beautiful. Thank you, Brijpal bhai. I'll read a few from the chat. It'll say, when I visualize myself in nirvana, so beyond sound, silence, not speaking, experiencing stillness, absorbing the light of the place, also walking in the nature. In these two scenarios, he feels the lightness. That's lightness for him. Swati says, no burden, free from any tension of our bodily affairs, and just be in peace. Sanan says, when free from sorrow, free from wasteful thoughts, filled with pure and positive thoughts. That's beautiful, that's practical. When can I feel lightness? When I just let go of any sorrowful or wasteful thoughts that's burdening me. Kamini says, thoughtless, and which may give us inner peace, restless. So when I become thoughtless. Subhas says, soul consciousness made us light. So soul consciousness meditation. Manjit says, I have felt light while being involved in Raj Yoga meditation, also while in meditation in the subtle world, while traveling there. The subtle world, the world of light, as you go deeper into meditation. Thank you, Manjit. Sarjit says, whenever I did good for others, also helped others without any expectations, I felt light. That's also a very practical example. Also, after service, seva, after that, I feel so light and bodiless. Ravideep says, when there is no question in my mind, I'm light. Balvinder has a big sharing, but I think time is running really fast. Ravideep says again, when I'm attached with myself and with God only, or I'm immersed in the thought and realization, awareness of me and God. That's lightness. Beautiful. Thank you. Lata says, I often write and share my mistakes and subtle vices with God by talking or writing letter. I also confess and ask sorry to God, and I feel light and detached. Beautiful, beautiful sharings. I'm sure everybody's listening and taking some inspirations. And many of us must be relating to what we are listening. Ravi Deep says, okay, with my soul immersed in the soul. Shruti says, while running, experience runner's high. Maybe Shruti can explain that a bit more. Balvinder says, a story that she took fresh food, leftover food, and other family took fresh food. Nobody ate my food. When I came home, I threw away in my garden. In the beginning, I got upset, felt very heavy immediately. I realized, is it what I am learning from Value Workshop? Quickly, I switched and responded with calmness and felt lighter. Right. Something heavy happens. We have to just. Thank you so much. And I think right now we'll stop and move to the next. So for that, I'll request Deepak Bhai, who is noting down our sharings, to show it on this. Thank you. So beautiful sharings. I think there are a few different aspects people shared and we all can maybe relate to. So when I free myself from any tension in the mind, then all the bodily things, then I feel peace, soul consciousness in meditation. When I'm in the nirvana, that you can visualize that you're not talking, you're very silent. Nirvana means beyond the vani, the words. And so meditation definitely free from sorrow and wasteful thoughts. For that, like Balvinder said, we have to just switch the switch to releasing and to pure and positive thoughts, being present at the present moment, being light and merged in God's love. And when you did good to others, when we do good to others, help others without expectations, we feel that joy filled with lightness. When I go to thoughtless stage, when we renounce, again, merged in God's love. And that's what I think a lot have said when it comes to meditation, it's me and God. And that gives that utmost lightness feeling. And by writing, sharing mistakes with God, who doesn't bring it out or talk about, but who absolves in himself and makes me light, frees me from my mistakes. Beautiful sharings. Thank you, everyone. Now I will hand it over to Brother Manoj.
Thank you so much, all of you. So I think I'll request now that you all have reflected a lot. So let's now dive deep into the experience, because the authority of experience is much more better than just knowledge. So let's again, as you can see, the beautiful lotus flowers in front of you, resembling purity. So let's take a few deep breaths in and out. Situating the self in this beautiful consciousness of the soul energy that I am. I, the being of light, the metaphysical light, the moment I situate myself in this consciousness, I immediately connect myself to the infinite. And I go beyond the awareness of this body and get connected to another source of light, that is God, the Supreme, the Divine. who is not only the source of all the light in the world, the spiritual light, but also the ocean of all virtues and powers, the source of all the virtues and powers in the world. See how this feeling of lightness gets enhanced after getting connected with the Supreme Divine Being. Feeling so light, as if you are totally detached from this physical world, including the physical body as well. This is what we call the bodiless state in meditation. So light, and my thoughts are so pure and powerful. I start flying. And flying over all the obstacles and challenges in life. They don't seem to bother me anymore, because I am above them. So not only is this stage of being bodiless so light, but also it is full of might. The soul power is so enhanced. Nothing seems to disturb me anymore. And with this beautiful feeling of lightness which I'm carrying from this workshop, let us just come back and get ready for the action planning for the next activity. Okay, so we'll move on to, I'll stop sharing. And let's move on to the next activity. Over to Sister Shruti. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj Bhai. So, as we move into the next portion of the exercise, true to our Vihasa style, let's move, or to a workshop style, let's move into action planning. And what we're going to do in this portion of this exercise is really, or the workshop is to really think about, how do I carry this feeling through the rest of the day? Are there things that I can do, little pointers for myself, little things that I can incorporate so that the day's heaviness or other responsibilities don't start weighing down at me? How do I make sure that I'm able to enjoy and stay in this lightness, what I experienced in the last few minutes with the meditation, or everything that we've been discussing, or those incidents or those moments that I've already experienced lightness? How do I extend it through the rest of the day, or for the entire day, when I'm at work, when I'm at home? So I will play light music to help you focus for about a minute, and then we can come back to share. So about a minute. So if you're ready, Kavita has gotten us started by saying traffic control does help us to continue being light while performing actions. Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else? Would you like to unmute and share? Michael says, living with a deep sense of gratitude for what God, life, and people have given me, so that I may appreciate each and every moment and people and get rid of the wrong types of thoughts. Beautiful. Prishpal Bhai says, listen, understand, and accept. That itself is very deep. Observe silence and constant remembrance of the Supreme. Gurpreet says, acceptance for everything. Before I read a few more chats, would anybody? Yes, please go ahead. You've raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Shanti.
Shanti.
I feel that at the workplace, when we are well ahead of time, like when we do the things on time, and when we are focused on our own work rather than looking around and judging that what others are doing, I did better, like just to focus on our own work, like focus on Surchintan, not Parchintan. So that really helps us to be light.
Very nice. Just focusing on your own work rather than others. That's beautiful. Would anybody else like to share?
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Rina, yeah.
Based on my experience, I would say, Baba has said that you need to remember, because our state of mind, depends on our thoughts. So Baba said that you need to remember that you're double light and not just single. And double light as in we are made of light, and we are light as in there's no border. But in practical life, every stage you will be, people will come and test your patience, and people will try to burden you with their expectations or with their maybe negativity, or they don't like what they're doing and all those things. And during meditation, as so many people have shared, during meditation, any type of meditation, it is very easy to remain light. But when these challenges come, am I able to remember that I'm double light? Or so in this case, when these challenges come, what we need to do, what I do is practice a lot of patience, practice a lot of humility, and practice a lot of maybe spiritual love and all these things. So for example, there are some cases wherein, you'll be taken by surprise. Say, for example, you're taking rest and somebody comes and bangs on the door as if they want to break it down. In such kind of conditions, it happens. So am I able to feel light? If not, there is a lack of practice, I would say, of the thoughts, of practicing the thoughts and experiencing the feelings that comes with the thought that you're double light. So these challenges, when it comes, a lot of patience and love and acceptance and tolerance and humility, a lot of things will be needed. And it takes time.
Very nice. A lot of a great example, Rena. And I think the key things were practicing patience, humility, acceptance, tolerance. Big words, but yes, they do carry us through some, and it takes practice, certainly. I think I would underline on practice. Yes, Sanam, go ahead, please.
Thanks very much for this discussion. It is good to have knowledge. It is better to have experience, and that is why it is good to be at work, at home, in the Lokik world, to see if we pass the tests that we are going through. So if a test is not passed, we have not learned a lesson, we have to churn. And if it is also, could be, it is a new test, and the new test is also good, because we learn and churn. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanam. So really seeing those opportunities, or rather these situations, as test and a place to I'll link it back to what Rena was saying as an opportunity to practice. Very nice. Anybody else? Let me take a few chat sharings. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Geeta. Would you like to share?
Yeah, I was just reflecting on this, that whenever I can read somebody's pain, even though they are not sharing it, if I can perceive that pain and I can make efforts to ease out that pain, that is a stage when I really feel like a Baba's instrument, peace at myself, and create a peaceful atmosphere.
Very nice. So empathy and being able to perceive somebody else's pain and help them and becoming that instrument. Very nice. Would anybody else like to share?
Mr.
Spash
Geeta
saying,
wants to go ahead. You have unmuted. Geeta Jumani. Yeah.
go
Om
ahead.
I'm finding it a little difficult to put in my words what I am listening to everybody. It looks like it's a struggle to stay calm and handle the situations or people. For me, lightness is within us. And we are in this knowledge for a little while or long time, but we should be able to accept two things, that I'm not responsible for anything. I'm doing all my duties. Practically, in a practical life, I think if I enjoy my work and don't take it as a burden, or I have to work because I have to earn money or to live my life, and if I'm at home, again, it is by my own choice. I'm married or not married, I have relatives or not, friends, it's my choice. And if I accept them and enjoy doing things, then I feel light. I don't take it as a burden that I have to do this, I have to do that, because I have to. So I think maybe I'm very lucky to have good people in my life, at work, at home, and around me. So if we have to have clashes with other people and we have to accept them against our wish, then it becomes very heavy. Anything you do. That's what I think.
Very nice. So you're assigning the ability to stay light is more about remaining free of conflict. And the way you do that is by acceptance of people and acceptance of the situation, yet believing that you're in control of
it's
your
more
destiny.
like free will.
Very nice. Free will. Very
like
nice.
Free will. Whatever
Very
I
nice.
is my free will.
Absolutely. Very nice. That's another approach. Very nice. Anybody else?
Om Shanti, can I share?
Yes, please go ahead, Sangeeta. We love to hear voices.
Yes. Before before I came into Gyan, and when I entered into Gyan, when I learned that what all is happening is a time bound. I mean, it's not eternal. It is not the ultimate reality. That was the moment when I really felt very much light and detached, because previously when we were not in the Gyan, we used to take everything as if it is the only reality of life. And we were in some race as if we have to do each and everything in this life. When I came to know it's a small part, it's not the whole scenario. That made me very light and uh, a big change.
Very
I mean,
nice.
it is a reality, but it's not the whole ring, whole scene. It is a small part. And the reality is that we have to remain stable in each part instead of acquiring or possessive things. That Gyan made me a big change in my life and made me very light.
Very
Thank you.
nice. Thank you for sharing, Sangeeta. It's certainly recognizing that the current situation is only one scene in a much bigger story, in a much bigger drama, in a much bigger continuum of time. Beautiful. So just a few chat sharings, and then we'll move to the next portion of today's workshop. Subhash says, as soon as you wake up, connect with the Supreme and feel his power inside you. Dr. Geeta says, when you do some seva or some service and see its response. Pavan says that when he recognizes that he's only the instrument or the current Karavanhar, and the current Karavanhar or the Supreme is helping me complete his task. Shivani says, my work will start day after tomorrow, please. Okay. Manjeet is, do not get involved in negative stuff, but be light, as you can fly like a bird and you can solve the problems, overcome obstacles better. So flying like a bird. Balwin says about accepting everyone as they are, attitude of gratitude instead of complaining, criticism, staying connected with the self, interacting with from the core, and seeing self and others as souls and their original qualities, and sharing positivity, goodness with others to make them feel positive or good.
Sorry,
And
sister,
experience.
we may have to wind up.
Wind up. Yes, there is so
Yes.
much over here, which is so rich. We will be sharing this in our slides. So over to you, Manoj Bhai.
Sorry for that. So I think Deepak Bhai, if you can just copy paste all of them because they are wonderful sharings. We don't want you all to feel that you all are unheard, but we'll be sharing all this in the review material. And apologies, I forgot to mention Sister Anu and even Claudia's sisters around that the Portuguese translation will start now, right? And you'll have created a room. I'm so sorry, I forgot that.
Yeah,
So,
it will start now. So thank you, Sister Claudia. You can now start.
and also a few other announcements before I go on to the summary sharing. Ones who have joined new, can please share your contacts, which means your emails and your WhatsApp numbers, so that we can send you the materials. And also,
laptop.
so we can also keep you updated with the future programs. Right. So let's move on to the.
I think we have Sister Rita with us.
Yeah, so we have, she's already there. You can make her co-host, and I'll just quickly do the sharing and then we'll give it to her in the next 15 minutes. So hope that's fine. And let's move further. So we had 3 speakers actually. So Sister Santosh or Santosh Didi, with a lot of respect, she joined as an online recorded format, but no one felt that because it was a Q&A format. We had Sister Radhika all the way from south of India, Hyderabad, and we had Dr. Ashok Mehta. So I'll see how much I can cover. So Didi was asked, Santosh Didi, that she travels so much. How can she remain so light? And the only one answer to this is the awareness about oneness. So ness and ness. And that the entire world is one. And it reminds me of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, who at the moment, I'm sure all of you are from that country as well. We have the G20 summit going on right now as we speak in New Delhi over this weekend. So it's all the 20 nations, the powerful nations of the world. And the theme is one world and one family. So I think when we have this oneness, the awareness of this oneness, lightness automatically comes. We asked her about a few experiences of hers with the seniors in the organization. So she quoted about our previous administrative head, Dadi Prakash Mani, that she never held anyone's negativity. And that was the way to remain light and easy, because we know that everyone has shortcomings. But if we are not able to look at those shortcomings, we really can remain light. And that's what Didi said, remaining light and being in the stage of might is the key to happiness. Because the moment I see anyone's weakness, my happiness is immediately lost at that moment. Then there was a point which was asked about that should we be as light as the air? So it is again not about the physical weight of the body. It is about the state of the mind. As Sister Reina was speaking, that at Brahma Kumari's, the Rajoga meditation which is taught here, and the teachings as well, is mentioned about being double light. So when we say double light, it all is about a state of mind which is very light, and also considering yourself as to be the body of light. If you all can remember the icebreaker video which was shared, the first part of the workshop, the body was shown as being full of light. And then we have covered these two other values in the past, easiness and simplicity, very closely related to lightness. So the question was, how are they related? So Santosh Ji beautifully pointed out, I just love this, that lightness is actually a state of mind, as we are discussing again and again. Easiness is seen in your behavior. So automatically someone who is light inside will be easy in his behavior. And simplicity is about one's personality. I'll cover this about simplicity when I take the slide on Dr. Mehta's sharing, because everyone was saying, even Radhika Behan was saying in the talk, that being simple in our living, in our nature, and also in our thoughts, not being complicated and complex, will make you feel light. So that's what we always think. What Sister Radhika said, I'll just quickly read it, that it is the ability to be able to swim through life very easily. So again, easiness comes there. Don't think too much. And it reminds me very distinctly of our late Dadi Janki. So she used to say to all the sisters in the organization and all the students, Rajyogi students, and very firmly, don't think. I mean, people used to ask her, Dadi, what does it mean, don't think? We have to think. But she said, you think so much that you keep thinking on and on. That's what I don't want you all to do. That's what she was saying. So one thought comes, that's it. We don't need to keep ruminating or keep brooding on that thought. And therefore, being light is a very natural way. That's what Sister Radhika had to mention. And I all experienced that flyover situation, not the flyovers where our vehicles fly. Suddenly, I was reminded of that, but to fly over the obstacle or the situation which we experienced. Like, I remember this also in one of our exercises in the values workshop, what Sister Shruti was mentioning, Vihasa. We do this visualization exercise called SOS. S is for applying a full stop. O is being an observer, detached observer. And the last S is steering. So if we can really raise our state of mind to such a level that we fly over that obstacle. And she also said that lightness is the ability to find something to enjoy, and also seeing the spark of diamond, which means she said that still let's start looking at the specialities in everyone. Again, we covered this, that if I look at the positive things in people, they may have n number of shortcomings, but something or the other speciality each one has. And that's what we are taught here, that all of us have many shortcomings, but at least we have one speciality. So let's start looking at that speciality in everyone around us. That will automatically make us feel very, very light and stable. She also said lightness is to see through the situation with a lot of clarity. And then we can see that, oh, that actually complicated situation is actually a blessing in disguise, because every mishap in life comes to teach me a lesson. And I will move on to the last slide now. I do have a bit of time. I think I can cover this here, that, yeah, this I liked. I haven't highlighted it actually, the last point, that carry others along with you and you'll feel light. So this looks like a paradox. Like you want to feel light, but you're carrying others with you. So it's not about physical things, carrying them physically, but it's again being again, the awareness of oneness, that all of us have some specialities and we are in the same journey, in the same boat, I must say that. And all of us are somewhere or the other at the same level. So let's sort of carry with each other, carry others as well with you in your journey, and then they will feel very invited. They will feel very light as well, and positive and easy with you. And that will in turn make you feel light. So I think that was a good takeaway, that carry others along with you on your life journey and you will feel light. Well, let's come to Dr. Ashok Mehta. He had shared for around 15 minutes. He went on to his childhood stories, whereby he remembered that traveling by simple trains, that time we had those coal burning trains. We used to really get black fully in the trains compared to the fast technology now which we have. And he was remembering that how technology is though good, we can't live without technology now. You all know that. We are all here thanks to these Zoom and all these gadgets which we are using. But we know that we get heavy and complicated with technology, because a simple thing, I read a WhatsApp message, a chat on the WhatsApp, someone saying something which I don't quite like, and then I carry that burden, and then my lightness just fizzles off in a minute. So he mentioned about the Sahaj Raj Yoga, which is Sahaj in Hindi. In English, it means easy or rather natural. So it's rather a process whereby what we are taught here at Brahma Kumaris, if I can say, I'm sure Sister Rita will also cover that in detail, is to really experience the energy you are, the soul conscious state. And once we can do that, everything else falls back, like it becomes very secondary, and then we automatically feel light. Dr. Mehta mentioned these three qualities. You all have touched upon them: compassion, empathy, two of them, and the third is listening. And we all of us know, Sister Geeta also mentioned, Dr. Geeta, that doing a lot of service, listening to people's maybe some traumatic experiences, just giving them a ear, listening them properly with full intention, not hearing, listening. It makes people feel very light and we can reduce their burden. He also went to mention that we should have a little sense of humor in our life and learn to share with others. As all of us know, sharing is caring. So if I can share something and have a little bit of humor, it really makes me feel light. Having a good support system, nevertheless, is very important, because having a family bonding, the Indian nuclear families, though we have in India here now, but the family bonding in the Eastern cultures is still there. It helps a lot when you're going through rough phases in life or facing very critical situations. He also mentioned a few other things. You all had discussed this. Someone mentioned about clash. So Dr. Mehta had said, no clash and no crash. We don't want to do that. Let's be away from that. We'll be light automatically. And I don't know whether Dr. Mehta will be able to join today, because you can see he always joins and he's always so light. And these all senior Rajyogis, they speak from their experience. And he mentioned this mantra, that the slogan which we say, that this too shall pass away. It has come just to go. Radhi Janki also used to say, why are you hanging on to that path, the thing which is there? It will go. So just let it go. Don't give a lot of energy to that obstacle. It will blow up more. And finally, I think this came up in the sharing very nicely, that practice gratitude to remain light and be simple. That's what also you mentioned. Simple in your thoughts, word, and action. As we say, simple living, high thinking. So all sorts of things will make us feel light. So I think this is our bit of summary sharing. I'll stop sharing the screen now. And let me just, yeah, we have Sister Rita. So if we can just spotlight her. Yeah, thank you. So before giving it to you, Sister Rita, thank you so much for joining. I will speak a few lines about you in the form of a poem and also introduce you to the audience. So let me just do that. Yeah. So Sister Rita, I met her personally. She's from Boston, a very, very light soul and energy, very, very light. And she has been practicing Raj Yoga since 1999. So almost 30 years, more than 30 years. Based in Boston, serves as the center coordinator there, still serving there. And you all will be surprised to know that she's an entrepreneur because she's got the spirit of entrepreneurship in her. That's what she likes to mention. And she has founded a number of companies. To name a few, Learning Circle, which is a management consulting firm. And another one is the Visions of a Better World, which is a Better World Foundation, which is a non-profit organization. And she also serves as a consultant with the MIT Organizational Learning Center. But what Sister Rita says about herself, she loves is learning, constant learning, and she considers herself to be a lifelong learner. And to match with her today's value, she likes to say that she remains light as a feather in all that she does. So this is all her introduction, and finally about the poem. So please bear with me for the next few minutes. So today our special guest, Sister Rita, is joining us from Boston, sharing her wisdom on lightness, which has indeed been forgotten. The wisdom of lightness has been forgotten. She says, let's leave the burden aside, which is indeed very rotten, so that we can start life afresh, like wearing a brand new dress of white cotton. Life should flow easily like the clear water coming from a mountain, which teaches us how to rejoice like a child playing in a fountain. You know, in today's age, see how deeply within us weaknesses have gotten, making us spin and toss like the rings of the planet Saturn. So now let's try to become light by seeing what we can unlearn. I think that's important because we learn a lot of things. Let's try to unlearn and claim from the divine our lost fortune, which we can then indeed earn. So thank you so much, Sister Rita, for joining. And the stage is all yours. Over to you. Thank you.
So Om Shanti and hello to everyone. Brother, that poem was so amazing. You know, I didn't know you were a poet, you know, that you would be a poet and I would know it. You know, but thank you so much. And thank you to everyone else for staying on and, you know, being with us for this continuation of a conversation on this such an important value, lightness. You know, I think listening, you know, over the last hour and coming to know everything that has been done prior to this conversation on lightness, I'm really not sure, you know, what it is that I can add to the conversation, but I'll try to share from my own experience. You know, it was very interesting that when Brother Manoj asked me to speak on this, I really had not spent a lot of time thinking about lightness as a value. And so I really put my heart into doing that. And there were many, many surprises that came up for me, you know, and of course, you know, as asked, you know, I began, and I should say regarding the, just before we start, regarding using the Zoom capabilities to show slides and stuff, I really don't know how to do any of that stuff, you know, so I won't be using the slides because I don't know how to use it, but they were created, so I just don't know how to use them. So anyway.
So no worries, sorry to interrupt. So if you want us to show them, let us know when you want us to show the slides.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. Fine, that's great because we want to see you rather than the slides. Yeah, thanks.
So you know, as I said, I really put my heart into coming to learn about what is this value of lightness, and it took me to some very interesting places of discovery, and I'll share with you as we go along on that. But you know, when I, after churning quite a bit on what I felt that the definition of lightness is, you know, I came out just where many others came out who you've heard from earlier, where I really recognize that lightness is an inner state of being. You know, a lot of times we see people that are, you know, very happy, joyful, you know, every time you see them, and they're not necessarily on, it's not just outside that I'm talking about today, of giving the appearance of lightness. But what does it mean from the inside out, as opposed to from the outside in? And of course, spiritually, when we're exploring things like that, we're always going to go to the inside, right? So what came out for me were that there were three qualities that, would let us know if we were really able to say that we're living with lightness. That first quality, being peace, that we are peaceful, not sometimes, but we have a consistency in our peacefulness. Secondly, loving, which we know, is something that allows us to remain so light as a feather, when we can actually be in that experience of love of the self, love of others, and of course, love of that source where there is supreme light. And then the third is that feeling of happiness, where no matter what you're doing, no matter what's going on, there's sort of like this quiet happiness, that sits in the heart. And it's sort of like being in that state of a child that you say, look what's going on here, but am I getting pulled down by it? Or is it something that's going to bring me up? No, it's natural that you stay up, right, in that feeling of happiness within. So I think when we have these qualities, we come to really understand, that it's a matter of our energy, as Brother was saying earlier, staying absolutely light and flowing at any given moment. And, I think the different things that we can experience, in our life change as we come onto a spiritual pathway, where we decide to take up the practice of bringing these qualities and these values, into our daily life more and more. So perhaps, we have the patterns, as you say, the old things, the old patterns, that stuckness of something that's not feeling so light inside. But, I do feel that when we want to activate this value in our life, that we really have to do a little bit of checking in order to become stress-free, and to be order to become stress-free. And these are the things we want to do, because what do we want, in life? We want to be stress-free. We want to have like happiness in our relationships. We don't want them to be relationships that are causing struggle and strife all the time, sometimes maybe, but we want them to be healthy relationships, and in order to have healthy relationships, we have to be in these in the state of being, conscious and making choices, that are going to allow us, to live from that space within where we're striving to keep this lightness in our life. And so, when we do that, I think that what shows up is that there's a lightness, there's a happiness that brings zeal and enthusiasm at every moment. I mean, I know for myself here, even when there's challenges going on, when I can have that light ignited of lightness inside the self, I end up going for these long walks. I'm a walker, and I walk, 3 to 5 miles a day if possible. And when I'm walking, I mean, I'm just singing, I'm singing to the self. I'm connecting with that source of light, and I am just in the bliss, of the purity, the joy, the peace, the love, all of that. And it sounds a little corny, but truthfully, that feeling of being light as a feather, is just a matter of tickling the self with the memory, that we are light, and that lightness is truly part of us. It's something we have. But, what happens is that in order to remain full of that lightness, in order to remain sparkling in that lightness, in order to remain just consciously aware that this is the state we want to be in, it takes a little practice. And I was thinking of a story. Actually, I'm thinking about two stories where I actually saw lightness in a soul, in a person, consistently, constantly, over my many, many years of meeting this person who some of you know, and her name is Dadi Prakashmani. And Dadi Prakashmani, for those who don't know, was the leader, the head administrator of the Brahma Kumaris for many, many years. And when I first came to a conversation that was being held in New York at the United Nations, actually, about these Vision of a Better World, a book that was being launched at the time at the United Nations. It was a celebration, and Dottie was there. And Dottie sat across from me for this dialogue, this conversation. And I was facing her, looking at her for almost 2.5 hours at that time. And what I couldn't get over is I couldn't get over the light that was coming from her eyes. I couldn't get over the smile when she smiled and spoke her words. It was as if my heart melted every word she said. And I said, I don't know who this is, but whoever she is, I really want to get to know her. And I was fortunate in that, so that was back in 1989, maybe, or 1990. And I actually did have the chance over many years to spend time with her. I've traveled maybe 40 times. I think it's been 40 trips to India, where I've had the pleasure of and the honor of being in her company. And the thing that I always used to say is, I used to say to her, I said, Dottie, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. I want to learn to be like this in my life, because here was someone who was the leader of a mega organization, the largest woman-led spiritual organization. And it was as if she had absolutely nothing that she was carrying that was bringing any kind of weight, where she would not be able to express her lightness in life. So that was one experience of being with her. And then there was this second experience of being with her when, again, we were in New York for a conversation on choice. No, what was it called? It was called Consciousness and Choice. And she was presenting on a panel along with one of the thought leaders that I worked with for many years from MIT. His name was Peter Senge. And there were 4 or 5 other, there was a representative from the UN that was on that panel, and someone from South Africa who was on that panel, who I had met before. That was wonderful. But it was so interesting to hear Dottie talk about consciousness and choice as it relates to ethics and values in life. And I'd like to actually read for you a little paragraph of her words, because it's something that will, I think, touch your hearts in coming to understand how important it is to recognize that choice is an inner state of being. Excuse me, that lightness is an inner state of being, and that the choice to be that is ours at every moment in time. So she says, the topic for discussion at this dialogue on conscience and choice, it's a very interesting topic. She said, it does happen in life's experiences that our desires dictate our choices, in a direction which is normally different from the advice of our inner conscience. Interesting, huh? She said the difference in direction results in negativity or conflict between the advice of the conscience and the choices we make. The conscience of the human soul calls for the experience of peace, but when adverse situations arise and individuals are forced to make decisions, they invariably go against that inner voice and choose a direction that is peaceless and which results in anger, right? Or, some kind of violence. And she was talking, of course, now at the global level, but, I think this aspect of understanding that, and she actually said, just a few more words I want to read. She said, the fundamental principle that governs conscience and choice is a universal one, which states that there are always thoughts which will emerge in the mind first to give us the time to discern before we decide the action we take. So if in fact we were to apply this universal principle, that thought comes and we're given then time to discern and decide, am I making a choice in my thought that's going to lead me to live a life of lightness? Or is my thought taking me in the opposite direction? Simple, right? Sounds so simple. And Dottie mastered that. She absolutely mastered that. And one day I was sitting with Dottie in her cottage after writing her a letter, telling her that someday I was going to be in a place where I would live more closely with her, and where she advised me in that moment with a big smile. It was wonderful to have that desire, but she said, please, she said, no attachment, no attachment to me. Okay, Dottie, okay. But, one of the things that both she and the other elder from the Brahma Kumaris advised me to do was to, whatever you do, keep your heart clean. Be able to live in this, keep your heart clean, and keep your heart clean, by checking internally, what you're holding in your heart, and find a way to face whatever it is that's there, because it could be something from long ago that came from arrows, from words from someone else that hit the heart so hard, so deeply, that over a lifetime, you can hold on to those. But when making the decision to live a life in lightness, those things will be shown to you and you can let them go. So you can either hold on to the pain, or decide, absolutely not, this is not for me. I'm going to let it go. So in those moments, of recognizing that there's a blockage, that's keeping me from my lightness, when we have the courage and we have the power, to use this power of discernment, magic happens. All of a sudden, we find ourselves, moving into a space where we're living free, where we're living in that place of peace. We're, able to sparkle like Dottie sparkled, with that space of congruence, between what's going on in our heart, what's going on in our minds, and what goes on with the words we speak and the energy that we transmit in our life. So, I don't feel, in my years of practice, in my years of being involved in this practice, one of the things that I've come to recognize that Dottie was able to master herself. She was a self-master, and she was able to be in this space. But many of us have not been able to reach that level. So we do have moments when we're in an opposite flow in life, when it seems as if things become challenging, and we react differently, and we find ourselves not being able to stay in the lightness. So, what are other things that we can do at that moment in time? And I think it was important to note that someone else had said, having spiritual friendship with others at that time is really, a good thing to have, because we forget, that we could do something very simple in order to cure the switch, and switch the switch back to health, and that is what we need to do, is simply to remember, that we have a connection. We can make a connection with a source of pure light. And in that moment in time, we receive a flow of beautiful light, that sets us free again, so that we can continue our path, and enjoy the journey. So with that, after you've been listening to me for almost 15 minutes, I guess by now, why don't we just take a moment and just go into that space within, where we can relax. Slowing down our minds, our thoughts. Imagining a flow of light and lightness, just moving throughout our bodies, our hearts, our minds. And feeling a state of peacefulness, stillness inside. Becoming quiet. And simply remember that lightness flows from the tip of my head down through the body, into my toes, as my mind, my intellect opens to a connection with divine light. Letting all the other thoughts go. Remaining in stillness. Simply enjoying the light flowing through me. And as I come back into this room, I realize that when I'm in the light, the lightness of light, I simply have to be. To be who I am. And to dance the dance of this lifelong journey while experiencing a quiet joy peace and happiness. Shanti. So thank you for allowing me to share that. And, to just in summary, I wanted to say that lightness, again, for me, is simply a state of being peaceful, loving, and happy. Simple, right? So simple. And knowing that the choice of living this value is there for each one of us. Knowing that this choice can be made at every moment in time, second by second, thought by thought. So, for each one of you, I wish I could hand you the feather, so that in any moment, if you find yourself getting heavy, you can just tickle yourself a little bit with the feather and bring you back to that which is innate, that which is your true self. So with that, I'll stop here. I'll pause and see if there's any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We wanted you to continue more, but that's fine. We'll take a few question and answers. Questions, you'll answer them. Yeah, not answers that way. Yeah. So it's a very practical question. One of the participants looks like a little bit stressed about the coming week from Monday onwards. And she's saying that please let me know the things that I can keep in my mind at my workplace, reminding me that I am a light.
Yes. Well, it's really a fun thing to do, to think about these things of what I can bring to my office. What can I do to keep myself light at work or at home even, So it was actually interesting in the Learning Circle, the company that I started, my logo was a point of light with the rays coming out, the 8 powers coming out. And so I had that made up into little cards, and I had them posted everywhere. And before I did anything, I would connect with the light in order to be able to, run the business. I think that's why the business was truly so successful, because it was very successful. But, the other thing that you can do is to just remember, as you know you're facing stress coming towards you, that everything's going to be okay. This was a saying that both daddies used to say all the time and remind us of, never allow yourself to become stressed about everything. We've come to understand that this too shall pass, and that everything will be okay. And you think of, life from the beginning, from when you came into this lifetime, that how did you get to where you are today, that everything seems to be okay and moving along. It's okay, just like everything else has become okay, this too will be okay. And it was really interesting, just yesterday, if you can imagine, I was in this situation that I was anything but light in that moment. And I actually called Brother Manoj and I said to him, Brother Manoj, no, I think I wrote, I didn't write, I didn't call, I wrote a note and I said, I'm really, really sorry. I said, but, I am so far from being light today that I think you better get somebody else to do this program because I'm not there today. And what had happened was I had gone to a doctor, and I had been told that I was going to have eye injections for the rest of my life. And it took the sale. I mean, I had been having them in one eye, but now I was being told I had to have them in 2 eyes. And I was both eyes, and I was just in a place of saying, how do I accept this? How do I accept this? And I wasn't doing very well with it. But as what it did is, and it put me in a very deep place that took me into a very deeper place of darkness, which allowed me to see what I've been asking for some time, which I wanted to see what was blocking me from being able to be like a Dadi, to be constantly in consistency and lightness. So if it wasn't for Brother Manoj's, I don't know if it was desperation or if it was spiritual friendship, that he said to me, he said, no, you can't do that. And I said, well, I've never said no to service before. And of course, no, I can't do that. He said, there's no one, I don't have anyone else to ask, which I don't know if he was, what that was, if that was real, I assume it was. But I said, well, okay, then let me come and let me be the best I can. And so I came with a commitment to bringing the lightness back so that I could speak from that space. And it was very, very interesting how it all happened. Right, Brother Manoj? Yes. So that's how I would suggest you do it. Everything's going to be okay, and you're going to get through it just fine, just like you've had the power to get through everything else in the past.
So thank you so much. And I think you're one of the best speakers for this topic because there are many professionals with us. And you yourself, I don't know whether you still work. Do you? You still work?
No, no, actually, I don't work. I've never really considered my work anyway. Well, I'm still in touch with all of the people I've known throughout all of those years, and I advise people in their businesses and so forth. But working myself, not really. I've always found my work to be a way of learning. As I told you, I've always had this love of learning. So and what's really, really interesting, if you can imagine, so I work with all these scholars and these thought leaders and everything. And, I've had no book learning whatsoever in my life. I was an experiential learner that, somebody would ask me to put something in front of me and I would be able to do it. And I ended up learning about it and then I would do. But I've never had any book learning in my life. I barely made it out of high school.
Yeah, so the purpose of me asking you this was because the next question is pointing towards that, because many of the people whom we have as speakers on the show, they are into full-time meditation, teaching Raj Yoga to others as well. And they are sort of in one way what we call surrendered brothers and sisters. So I was having a talk with Sister Shruti a few hours ago about you actually, and she knows you quite well. So the question has come, I mean, coincidentally, it's a divine coincidence. I always say the question is, brother is asking that when there is overburden of work at workplace, and there are expectations of many souls from all over the place from us, how to feel light in such a situation. And the second question is, how can we make them feel happy?
Yeah. So when there's lots of situations, and believe me, I've lived through lots of moments that you just really don't know what is going to come next, how it's all going to work itself out. To really watch it as a play, as a drama, and that there's a drama going on and that I need to trust. For me, it was always a trust in God, that God would work it out. And I'm saying that, not that God would do it, it's himself, but I used to believe that there was a motto. As a matter of fact, one time when I was in Madhaban, the question was in India, and at this meeting with the senior of the Brahma Kumaris, who asked what the motto of America was. And in answering that question, on all of the coins in America, the motto of America is trust in God. So I always felt, I always believed that that things were meant to happen just the way they were going to happen, and that when I could let go of expectation and just have trust in what I would call the drama of the corporation, or the drama of life, that whatever was going to come was going to be for its next step in learning, that then the stress would dissipate. I would not feel stress with it. So you might want to and recognize that when you're not in the trauma of the drama, like everyone else in the organization is, that your thoughts will be clear enough to catch the touching of whatever it is that needs to happen next. And in order to make them happy, I would order ice cream for everyone, right? And invite them to have an afternoon of ice cream at the office. Shanti.
Okay, wonderful. Now, another question is a challenge for all of us who are very seniors, or maybe 10 years, or maybe just started their journey of meditation. It's a very common question which all of us have to face. So I'll read the entire, it's a mouthful of questions, so please bear with me. That which practice should I adopt to see myself and others as a soul, not the body? It's a very practical one. We always keep forgetting that. And the soul is saying that I keep on failing at this lesson number 1. And also when you all keep saying being light, so is it light of 5 words she's saying? Is it light of intelligence or awareness or energy or vibration or focus or concentration? So sorry, hope you are able to concentrate. It's too many things. Yeah, okay. So you got the gist of the question, yeah.
Got it. So how do I see myself as a soul? Why do I keep failing? In this lesson 1 that we were given of soul consciousness, and then how do you see lightness, awareness, intelligence, whatever, right? The whole list. So let's take it in segments. All right. So I think to see oneself as a soul means to really understand the lesson number one that was given, to recognize that I am a physical being and I am a spiritual being. And as a spiritual being, I have a mind, I have an intellect, and I have these sanskars, these imprints, that these qualities that are innate, and I have the ones that are acquired. And this is the eternal part of me that lives forever. To recognize where this knowledge came from, who is giving me this awareness of who I am as a spiritual being, and who it is, and the fact that this is divine intervention at this time in my life that I have found the knowledge. So the combination of all of those things, allows me to begin the journey of this transformation from what we would call body consciousness to soul consciousness. And what that does, as many of you have experienced, is that changes my perception, from a short term view of this one lifetime to a mega perspective of the whole of this cycle of time that's explained, in the knowledge. So when I awaken to knowing that there is a part of me that is light, and that light resides within me, and that this is where I think from, this is where I discern and decide from, and this is where I am the creator of the life experiences that I'm living today. So with that, I begin a practice. And sometimes that practice, is really easy to remember who I am and to remember who that source that gave me the information is. And sometimes it's not so easy, and sometimes I forget. And when I forget, am I light enough to notice, oh my gosh, look what I just did. I just forgot, and I'm back in the old model of the duality of happiness, lightness, or sadness and sorrow. And so asking myself, where do I want to be? Do I want to be, in that place of the old pattern that I've lived for so many lifetimes? Or now that I've come to understand, the magic of the journey at this time, where I come to know myself, I come to know my own truth, my own eternity. Do I want to live from that paradigm? And the choice, just as we spoke about earlier, the choice is yours. Each one of us received the same knowledge, but you have to pay attention to the practice. It's sort of like learning to play the violin, learning to play the flute. It takes a lot of practice. And so once you commit yourself to the study about it, so that you gain a clear understanding of yourself, and then you begin to play the flute, of actually learning, studying, practicing, learning, eventually you reach it, that you'll be able to do it more and more, and never give up, never become discouraged, never ever allow yourself to become discouraged, but stay light in the dance of learning. And regarding the what do we mean by lightness, could you repeat that last part of the question for me again, please?
Yeah, just a moment. Yeah, because it was quite a bit. Yeah. So it is like, is it light of intelligence or awareness? or energy or vibration or focus or concentration?
Yes, so I can say with from experience, it's a combination of all of that. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So I'll just take, in the interest of time, one more question. Like, it's again a new meditation. A person on the beginning of Raj Yoga meditation journey, they say that at Brahma Kumaris we are taught these many stages. So one of the stages is a stage of being bodiless, and one of the other stages being an angel. So angelic stage and bodiless stage. So can you please throw some light on these two stages, because I'm not able to understand these two stages. Are they the same or they are different? Angelic and bodiless.
Yes. Okay. So, you know, when I first came to the Brahma Kumaris, when I first entered into this, and it was very interesting how I found out about it. I had been in search of spiritual understanding forever. And I used to get together with a group of professors. We used to meet every 6 months to talk about where we were on our spiritual paths. And all of a sudden, I left. We had a meeting, and the meeting was ending, and we left. We always left the meetings saying, "What's the one thing that you're trying to understand?" You know, and I was trying to understand that, you know, if I was spiritual, what did it mean to be spiritual? Right? What was I as a spiritual being? You know, and secondly, you know, if there was a God, why is there still all this suffering in the world? These were my two questions. And this one professor took my questions, and he went to on a trip to India. He came back and he said to me, he said, "Rita, I think I found the people who have the answers for you." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, why don't you bring them over?" He said, "Fine." So all of a sudden they came and they knocked on the door, and we sat down, you know, and we had this conversation about, you know, soul. What does it mean to be a soul? And if you know you're a soul, what is different about being a soul? And what I came to learn through numbers of conversations that followed that was, you know, it was actually that we had three forms. You know, we had the form of the physical body, we had the form of the soul, which we understood to be the point of living light, the consciousness, you know, that brought it, that entered into us when we were born. You know, it actually entered into the womb of the mother. You know, the soul, you know, entered into the physical costume, and then when they gave birth, the mother gives birth. You know, we come out with this living light as the energy source that allows us to move and to think and to discern and decide in life. But you know, then you come to also know that there's also a way that the soul that's currently sitting within the body, you know, you can come to know it as a traveler, you know, one that travels through time from the physical world to the spiritual world of light, you know, where we can enter another form. So we have the physical body, the point of light, and then the angelic form, which is a form of ourselves in light. The whole physical form turns to a light form, like an angel. I'm sure you've all seen angels. And that the soul in the angelic form can travel to what we call the angelic world, the subtle world. It's a world of light that's beyond the physical dimension of the universe that we live in, you know, beyond the physical form of the globe. It goes beyond that. And so I had an experience actually very shortly after coming into the study, where I was in Madhavan, and I was sitting for early morning meditation. And while sitting in that form of consciousness, that I was connected with that source of light, I felt my soul and light body travel, you know, beyond what I had known in any other moment in time while alive. And I found myself in this world of light, this subtle world. And it was truly above, and you could look down and you could see the physical world turning from that place that was above. And also, you know, recognizing in that experience that I had that we were able to fly, you know, and so flying back and sending light into the world where the world, so many in the world were suffering, stuck in that suffering, and being able to just be a light filled with love, and sending that love and light while in the angelic form. I don't know if this is making sense, if it's clear. I'm trying as hard as I can to articulate the experience, but that's one of that's the different stages, you know, that we experience when we're on this spiritual journey. And there's so much more I would be willing to share with you. You just need to contact me directly and we could have an offline conversation. It's very challenging to get it all into a few minutes.
No problem. That's great. So thank you for sharing your experience about that thing, the wonderful experience you had at Madhuban. So thank you for that. And now I would request Sister Claudia. I'm sure you know her very well. She's the center coordinator locally at Vancouver. And she's doing double service as well. She's also doing the Portuguese translation today. So can I just request Sister Claudia to come out of the translation room and propose the vote of thanks to Sister Rita? Over to you. So I hope Sister Anu, you can.
Sister Rita.
Yeah.
Om Shanti Claudia, Om Shanti.
It's so nice to be with you today. I was remembering that time when we were in Avyak Parivar. Yeah. And so it was nice to see you today and hear you up talking about how light we should, and is a choice. I was going to say in Portuguese, is a choice to be enlightened, to be enlightened or not. So we have to see that choice in life. And it was very nice when you explained about that, Prakashmani, also your experience of being an angel. So it was nice to hear those points, and I think that's true, like you said. It's a choice how I want to live my life. Do I want to live my life in a lightness or heavy, all the time moody and not feeling good? What is all about? Life has to be, for us to be, no matter what comes, we have to pass. And then it was very nice. Thank you very much for giving all your experience and coming to us today. Like you said, you almost did not come, but I was actually looking forward to see you today. So it was very good. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. And, you know, I bequeath this feather to everyone online. You know, you take it and don't forget, here's for you, each one of you, don't forget, you know, just tickle yourself when it gets a little heavy and all will be well.
I think I'm going to get one, I think, like that for me. Thank you.
You notice it has a golden tip. It's top of it is gold because we're all, so you can see it a little bit, maybe that it's gold. Yes, it's not white at the top, it's gold. So taking us to a golden, beautiful, light age. Om Shanti.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. And you were destined to be here, so there was no point that I could find a replacement for you. Okay, anyway, so let me do the announcements quickly, and then all of you can be ready for your photograph, because that's what we always do with our guest speaker. And Sister Anu, be ready with that. So I'll just do the announcements. So moving on to the next value in this month, very closely related to lightness, is sweetness. And we have two sweet souls with us. Very senior Raj Yogis. We have had them on the show as well in the past. It's Sister Dipti from South Africa and Brother Ashish from UK. Mahesh, if you can just mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So this is the next episode, 74. One episode short of the 75th Platinum Jubilee, which will be a big blast. I'm sure you'll know in the calendar who will be there for that episode. And sweetness we call in Hindi Madhurta. So that's our next episode. And as I said, this month of September is the month of Boston. So we have another we have another speaker, Brother Dave from Boston. I mean, Sister Rita, and he work very closely in liaison, say, coordinating the activities. They're a beautiful place to sort of do service as well, and has a lot of British influence because it is the east coast of that area, Massachusetts. A lot of British influence and a lot of good service happening. So Brother Dave will be covering, as we did today, the workshop on sweetness next time. And this is a beautiful calendar. So you can see the platinum episode also mentioned here. I'll throw the blast later when we announce it next time. And this is our emails and our websites. You can please feel free to share your comments and feedbacks. And all these are recorded on the YouTube, and the links are omshanti.tk/workshops. And for the Values for Life series episodes, they are the ones mentioned as playlist and /English or whatever language. You can just type down that language and listen to them. So I'll just stop sharing the screen now. And if we can all open our cameras, and over to Sister Anu for the photograph. Yes, people are, okay, thanks.
Sure. So everyone, please open your video. It takes few seconds. Okay, Vijay, your video is not on, so any complaints later. Okay, ready? This is the moment. Keep it in our memory, the beautiful sharing by Sister Rita and we all together. So yeah, I got. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So since we had a beautiful meditation experience, so maybe we should just do a little bit of Drishti Yoga. What do you suggest? Or you want to do a meditation again also, it's fine. Closing meditation, Sister Rita. So you want to do some closing meditation as well?
Whatever you'd like, you just tell, you guide me.
So I think it's good to have a closing meditation as well. Yeah, we have 5 minutes. Yeah.
5 minutes, good. Okay. So stepping back into that sacred space within. Where I, the soul, the living light of peace, of love and happiness exists. And within a second, I travel as the point of light to the land of peace, connecting to the one who is ever peaceful, filled with love and light. And I remember in this moment in time who I truly am. My mind becomes still. So quiet and peaceful. As I experience the light of love from the Supreme Soul, the source of divine light. I become full of lightness and I begin to sparkle, to shine, sending light and love to all the people of the world. I become an instrument of light and lightness. And the only thing I need to do is to remember who I am. I am a being of light, filled with the love and the lightness of the Supreme Soul. And as I feel that in life, my heart begins to dance. And I become light as a feather. Om Shanti.
Thank you so much once again for joining, taking out time. Thank you.
Thank you. See you again.
Bye.